Hello, everybody. Welcome back to A Course in Miracles, the workbook for student. We have a new friend join us. Nina is with us today. And today we are on lesson 16. And the first line says, I have no neutral thoughts. So I'll read one, and then the other two, we'll just all read through, whoever's ready to read through, and then we're going to discuss it.
Sure.
Number one. The idea for today is a beginning step in dispelling the belief that your thoughts have no effect. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. There is no exception to this fact. Thoughts are not big or little, powerful or weak. They are merely true or false. Those that are true create their own likeness. Those that are false make theirs.
Number two, there is no more self-contradictory concept than that of idle thoughts. What gives rise to the perception of a whole world can hardly be called idle. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or it multiplies illusions. You can indeed multiply nothing, but you will not extend it by doing so.
Besides your recognizing that thoughts are never idle, salvation requires that you also recognize that every thought you have brings either peace or war, either love or fear. A neutral result is impossible because a neutral thought is impossible. There is such a temptation to dismiss fear thoughts as unimportant, trivial, and not worth bothering about that is essential you recognize them all as equally destructive, but equally unreal. We will practice this idea in many forms before you really understand it.
Number four, in applying the idea for today, search your mind for a minute or so with eyes closed and actively seek not to overlook any little thought that may tend to elude the search. This is quite difficult until you get used to it. You will find that it is still hard for you not to make artificial distinctions. Every thought that occurs to you, regardless of the qualities that you assign to it, is a suitable subject for applying today's idea.
Number five, in the practice periods, first repeat the idea to yourself, and then as each one crosses your mind, hold it in awareness while you tell yourself, this thought about is not a neutral thought. That thought about is not a neutral thought. As usual, use today's idea whenever you are aware of the particular thought that arouses uneasiness. The following form is suggested for this purpose. This thought about is not a neutral thought because I have no neutral thoughts.
4 or 5 practice periods are recommended if you find them relatively effortless. If strain is experienced, 3 will be enough. The length of the exercise period should also be reduced if there is discomfort.
Wonderful. That is our lesson for today. So, Kelly, what did you get out of that?
Well, I guess to be aware of our thoughts, but to not try to, I mean, we understand that we're going to categorize them and that they don't have neutrality, but being aware of whether we put them into either of those contexts, either fear or unfearful. I guess maybe just being more aware of our thoughts and that what categories that they go into. Is this coming from fear? Is it coming from love?
Mm-hmm. Right? So there's no neutral thoughts. They're either good or bad. And it's up to us to be aware of what we consider or our awareness of what is good or bad or powerful or weak or big or little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What did you get out
Nina?
of it?
So they are merely true or false. And if they're false, do we need to correct others when they have false thoughts?
Hmm.
A thought that comes up a lot is, I need to correct that person. And if all thoughts are either true or false, then false are false. False aren't real. So basically, if we're correcting others in a way that divides, then it's actually does harm, but it's also nothing's happening anyway. Like there's
Because
no
it's all an illusion.
because it's all an illusion anyway, but it does create suffering, like an apparent suffering when there's argument, right? Because one person thinks their thought is true and the other person thinks their thought is false, or they both think they're true. And but they're both false. If two people are arguing, they're both false. They're both not real.
Right. Because it says something about creating war or something. Do. It is essential that you recognize them as equally destructive, but equally unreal.
Correct. Yes.
So the only thoughts that are real are love-based thoughts. And anything that, if we had a barometer, this is love. And when we hit neutrality and beyond, then they don't exist.
Yes, they're not perceived as real. Therefore, there's no separation. There's just love.
Yeah.
Seeing them all as unreal will end all arguments, really. And that's the goal. The goal is love.
Yeah.
And where there's agreement between thoughts, the truth is there at that in that communication.
Yeah.
Like right now, there's love. There's no need to correct my sisters, so to speak, my brothers.
Right.
But the challenge is when I believe an untrue thought, like that person shouldn't be saying that. That's an untrue thought.
Right.
It divides and it's untrue. If we can recognize it in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and as I shared in a Facebook post, there is only our perception. There is nothing else. So if you perceive someone else doing something that's not in alignment with you, it's really what is going on with you.
There's a belief running in the background, and if you can see it, then it dissolves because you can look upon it as unreal.
Right. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. So there's only truth or illusion. And the truth is only love.
And that's all there is, because anything else isn't real.
That's right. It is essential you recognize them as equally destructive, but equally unreal. We will practice the ideas in many forms. Every thought that occurs to you, regardless of the qualities that you assign to it, is a suitable subject for applying today's idea. Interesting. They are merely true or false. Those that are true create their own likeness. Those are false make theirs.
I have a
So,
thought that, sorry,
go ahead.
I have a thought that I hear a lot, and the weather should be different. I mean, it's a very subtle false thought
Yeah.
because it's a should. It's something that, I mean, if you believe it, there's a slight resistance in that thought.
Mm-hmm.
There's a belief there that that it shouldn't be there, and because it is there, all thoughts are allowed to be
Yeah.
present. They show up.
Yeah.
But the clincher is that we need to just notice that Are they real or not? Is it true or is it false?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because if it's false, then it's part of the illusion.
Right. And usually when you want something like a certain circumstance to be different, you're arguing against reality because everything is what it is
Yeah.
in that holy instant. Everything is exactly perfect in what it is. A thought would argue against that, and that thought is unreal.
Right.
And to catch that is the miracle.
Say that again?
And to catch that thought is a miracle.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
realization.
That realization.
Mm-hmm.
It's a change of perception.
Yeah. That's so fascinating. How about you, Kelly? How are you doing?
Well, I'm looking at this statement that says a neutral result is impossible because a neutral thought is impossible. So when I think I'm being neutral, um, that's an illusion in itself. But I don't know whether to engage because I don't really feel very fearful about very much. Um, yeah, so now I'm questioning my neutrality.
Mm.
Well, and
In that
neutral is,
neutrality, how do you feel?
Well, I guess that's my point. I kind of feel neutral about things. I'm trying to be more of an observer. Um, and in some regards it's quite helpful when I like when you said I feel like I need to correct people's untruths.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of stepped away a little bit about that depending on what the circumstance is. But yeah, it's very interesting, this one.
mhm.
Very.
It might just be that we're to be aware of any thoughts that are neutral or negative,
Mm-hmm.
because there are no neutral thoughts. So again, you've got the truth. I mean, this isn't really real anyways, but we have love is everything. And then at some point there's neutral and negative thoughts. And it's once we are recognize that we're at that neutrality,
Mm-hmm.
whatever thought tips us over into negativity is where we can have that awareness. And that's when we can do this thought about is not a neutral thought or even tipping over into the negative thoughts. We can just be aware of where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that awareness, come back to the truth, which is love.
Right. And now that I'm thinking through that, I'm thinking to myself, trying to stay neutral is a bit of a lie because um, I'm actually, how do I want to say this? I'm actually superimposing a non-reaction because in my neutrality, I'm still thinking all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
they can be very polarized, right? Maybe
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
necessarily from fear, but definitely judgment. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm in neutral. I'm thinking, no, you're not. You're just not opening your mouth. Totally different.
Well, and
Hmm.
you have
Or
no
we're
neutral
gaslighting.
thoughts.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
know the word gaslighting, but
Yeah.
it's like a self-denial in a way.
Right.
But life will show us where we're not neutral. And it's
Hmm.
so we always, well, we can trust in life.
Yeah.
Well, and this chapter is I have no neutral thoughts. There is nothing neutral.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You
And
know,
that's a true
if it
thought.
was 180 degrees, neutral is a hair, and
Right.
you're either in love or fear. So
Hmm.
there's nothing neutral.
The
You're so close
neutrality
to
is the tipping point between one or the other.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's the great divide.
that
And
doesn't
so
exist.
and all we can really do is recognize when we are aware, we become aware that we've had a thought that brings either peace or war.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So that recognition is like, oh, all of a sudden I feel kind of upset.
Mm-hmm.
There's a feeling, oh, I must have had a thought of war.
Yeah.
And then if you're feeling really amazing and loving and just so, or joyful or happy, then that the thought that came before it must have been a thought of love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think our sliding scale is always moving because we have thoughts. So then being aware of what our thoughts are doing will tip the scale either towards love or war.
Mm-hmm.
But we
Yeah.
have no neutral thoughts. There's nothing in that neutrality.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The idea for today is a beginning step into dispelling the belief that your thoughts have no effect. We didn't actually touch on that. Your thoughts have no effect. And yet everything you see is the result of your thoughts. Oh, so our thoughts do have effect.
Yes, the effect is this world.
Yeah.
This
Yeah, that's right.
this perception is the effect, but it's a false effect
Yeah.
because this world was made from belief, out of belief.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
And
really
out of
just
love.
manifestation.
What was that, Kelly? The
It's a
world was created.
manifestation.
It's a manifestation of our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's the manifestation of our thoughts. Very
Mm-hmm.
good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Wow.
keep thinking when I get back home, I want to see this view. Why, when I go back to
See, there
Vernon, I can't see this view? It's in my thoughts all the time.
And there it must stay.
And yet when I go home, I'm going to see a desert and snow probably still, even though it's been warming up and stuff. But, I want to see this.
and that's a preference, right? It's a preference.
It's not the truth. Is it the truth?
Mm-hmm.
The truth is no.
I would say the preference, it's a preference, but the belief is that things that change are real. That's the belief that we believe in. That's not true.
Hmm.
Does that make
Say that
sense?
again. That's tricky, right?
Well, I don't see any problem in having preferences, but the belief behind the preference
I've
is
made it bad.
is that things that can change are real. Like there's a real tropical place and then there's a real snowy place. But there's preferences there, and it doesn't matter if you believe in change. If you believe the thought or not, there's still a preference for warmth. Like the body likes it,
Yeah.
and then there's the belief that, well, I I believe I'm a body. It's
Right.
like it gets really deep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know we'll go deeper into all those topics as the lessons go on too. So that's fascinating.
Yeah. Mm.
Salvation requires that you also recognize that every thought you have brings either peace or war, either love or fear. A neutral result is impossible because a neutral thought is impossible.
So sometimes I have a fear of speaking. Like I have some anxiety before I speak, and there's a belief there that I
Yeah.
believe is true, that
Yeah.
I might say something wrong.
Right.
And that belief brings fear. But if I can see that belief as untrue, then that'll dispel
Yes.
my fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's the awareness that you've had the thought that you can bring in the dispelling. It's all awareness. It all
It's just
comes down to
awareness.
awareness.
Is this thought true? That's the question I always ask. Is this thought true?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, if I say something, will I say something wrong? And is it really wrong?
Right.
Right.
Is that true that I could say something wrong? And then it's out in the open. It's on the table. You can see it, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can look upon it with loving eyes and forgiveness eyes. And no, it's not true. It's
Yeah.
an untruth.
And that's
So
where the love part. Sorry, Kelly. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. In the third portion there, I'm kind of getting stuck on this. There is such a temptation to dismiss fear thoughts as unimportant, trivial, and not worth bothering about, that it essentially you recognize them as all equally destructive, but equally unreal. So that's a real combination of, that's a Twizzler, equally destructive but equally untrue.
That whole paragraph, your
Because I look
thoughts
at
are
if,
never idle.
yeah, yeah. If I think about something and if it puts me in fear, am I just to recognize that it is a fearful thought, and it is, but it says it's unimportant. So you just dismiss it.
Right. Do you think that people who lash out and attack and get angry, are they dismissing fear?
No, I think they're embracing fear.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they're not aware of it.
No,
They're
I would
they're
agree with
projecting
that.
it out
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of actually looking at it,
Yeah,
like
it's
actually
Yeah.
coming from
feeling it.
fear. Yeah.
So they're
They're
perpetuating their own
hmm
their own fearful world.
right, because I think they're perceiving whatever you're doing or saying as the possibility of it could be true is what triggers them.
Yeah, because it might upset. Like our reality is based on a lie. So if somebody, you know, tries to change that, then we'll go into fear.
hmm Yeah. Pulling the rug out from under them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're holding on to something that they value that's not real.
Right.
And because they value it, they will believe it is real.
hmm
Well, and previous lessons are this thing has no meaning.
Right.
That thought has no meaning. So when you add those lessons into this,
Yes.
the thoughts we have, you know, my thoughts do not mean anything is lesson 10. Lesson 11, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. And then
hmm
12, I am upset because I see a meaningless world. And then 13, a meaningless world engenders fear. And God did not create a meaningless world. So,
Right. So the
yeah,
meaningless world is a false world, and
yeah,
falsehood doesn't exist, but because it's believed it exists, it seems to be real.
hmm
exactly.
And so it is.
So when we're angry or when we're fearful, we're living in a meaningless world.
Yeah.
hmm
Wow. Wow.
And what I believe is that we need to feel the feeling, let
This,
it flow through to heal that part. Because once you feel it, you're back to love. There is only love, but we're allowed to have that feeling and
yes.
not give it meaning,
Right.
but just be present with it. And then that flows through your body because that's what bodies do. And then we are back to love only.
Yeah. Just in the last few days, I've had thoughts of judgment, and I made them real. and I judged them. Like I judged my judgmental thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I said to myself, I shouldn't have these. But the truth is I'm having them.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm no longer unaware of how I brushed them away. But I'm just looking at them now and saying, oh, they're allowed to be here if they show up. And in that forgiveness, because I know that the judgmental thoughts aren't real,
Mm-hmm.
then they're allowed to be there if they show up, and I'm not in resistance to them. I'm not trying to wrestle with them or fight with them, tell them to leave because I'm trying to be a good person.
Right. Right.
That's all false.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever is happening is allowed.
Yeah.
Just to see them as faults and not make them real.
Yeah.
And then the result is peace when we recognize that.
Yeah. Back to awareness. When you're aware of it and you're aware of your thoughts and you're aware you need to forgive yourself and stop shooting yourself, then you go back to peace, love, joy,
Mm-hmm.
perfectness. So it's back to awareness.
Yeah, stop shitting on ourselves.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
more shooting.
I mean, that's a
No
big
more
one
shooting.
for me, especially with others. Like the thoughts always saying, that person shouldn't have said that. Or it's always these thoughts that just keep coming, and I'm noticing them more and more. And then I'm recognizing them that they're not real. And then they diffuse themselves out. Like
Mm-hmm.
they just they don't mean anything.
They evaporate.
No, no. And it's only your perception of those thoughts, and they don't exist. And you've made them into something. You've made them mean
Yes,
something.
yes, I made them mean something like, and so there's a belief that we have to save the world in a way. Like there's a belief there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
100%.
we
Well,
have
if
to
we
ask
don't,
ourselves,
who will? But
is is it true?
it's not required.
No, just
No.
it's just
I do believe, though, that when we're in a deeply loving state, that it heals the world just by being in that state.
absolutely yes, because the world isn't outside of us. It's
No,
inside.
that's right.
It's in our awareness.
Yeah.
There's nothing outside of awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot
Every
of peace.
thought. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a lot of peace when that's recognized.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or multiplies illusions. So any thought that's loving is contributing, and any thought that's not loving is multiplying illusions. And especially in this current environment, it's really easy to say, oh, that person shouldn't have said that, or how can that person still believe that? Because there's
Right.
just so much interesting information being revealed at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We can look at that information, and how do we feel about that information? Do we
Mm-hmm.
feel happy or do we feel scared?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And then we have to go back and ask ourselves, what is the belief behind it that's causing my feeling about it?
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're having a fear, either you're having a fearful thought about it or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you're either excited because you're either excited about it or you're fearful. And if you're, yeah, there's no judging whatever fearfulness comes out of it. But if you're excited about it, then it can just be.
Yes.
And if you're fearful about it, that's when you need to, we're not shoulding, we're not needing, but it's just an awareness that why is that triggering something in me? And again, I need to feel a feeling to let it flow in and through and out of me and go back to love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like our consciousness is what's transmuting that thought, right? It has to go
Yeah.
through us. It gets washed. Yeah.
It gets washed. That's a good word. I like that.
It gets washed in love or
Mm-hmm.
truth.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the truth
Who?
of whatever that matter is continues
Yeah.
on. And if it's not in love or in truth, then it just disintegrates. It goes into nothingness.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anything else, anybody?
More brain twisters.
Or back to peace, right? It just returns back to where it came from,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Peace
the
and love.
nothing of, we don't know what nothingness is. The mind just decides what it means.
Even though we're not giving meaning to it, we somehow still give meaning to it.
That's right, because there's no neutral thoughts.
Yeah.
Nothing can mean something to somebody. And it can, yeah, that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We give
So we've
meaning
got a
to
few practice periods today.
4 or 5 practice periods are recommended.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's strain, then it's okay to have 3.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I have no neutral thoughts. Thoughts are not big or little, powerful or weak. They are merely true or false.
Yeah, I'm just going to start using that every time I think something. I'm just going to say, like you said, Nina, is this a true thought? Does this
Yeah,
hold true?
it can be just a real quick
Mm-hmm.
response to everything. Every time you have a feeling, find the thought that came before it in a way
Yeah.
and ask, is it true? And then just sit in silence and let the answer come to you
Mm-hmm.
rather than let the mind answer, because the mind doesn't know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Thinks it knows.
Then we're back to the crazy thoughts instead of the
Yes.
the the truth, which is the feeling.
Yeah, the awareness that nothing is true. It's like, oh, okay, it's not true.
So then should we not think things? We should just feel things.
It's about it. It's in the book somewhere I read. It's you'll know by how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Yeah.
feelings will let you know.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we start at lesson 1.
Right.
Nothing means anything. And, the trigger, that's why it's essential to go through the lessons as the way they are,
Hmm.
so that we can get to that point when we can get to that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the first lesson, if you got it, you wouldn't need to go through the rest of them. Nothing I
Yeah.
see, nothing I see means anything.
Yep. Done.
I mean, you're done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that recognition that nothing means anything is the peace right
Yeah.
there. It's just shining.
Yeah. But, we need to practice.
That's
That's my
right. That's the practice,
perception.
because the mind is, wound up like a tight spring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Super interesting. Well, if we're okay with this, I'll stop the recording at this point. Not that we can't discuss further, but
Actually,
I'll
there's
stop the
one more thought I
recording.
had, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course.
Um, they're all equally destructive, but all equally unreal. So that's where the mind becomes afraid, because it's afraid of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like if something's being destroyed, there's reason to be afraid.
Right.
Yes. It's unsettling. We're not grounded. We can't feel grounded.
But it's because we believe that destruction is real.
Yeah.
But it's not a real thought because it it brings fear. The thought of something being destroyed brings fear, and then we make it real. Like and then we get into a place where we have to try to control everything and everyone because we're
Yeah.
afraid of something getting destroyed, but that something isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then we can rest in that understanding, that awareness, and just let things be just as they are,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
without feeling like it we are holding this burden that we have to protect something valuable,
Right.
because value that which is valuable does not need protecting. The truly valuable does not need protection because it is
Mm-hmm.
everything. It's it's destructionless, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that very much. I like that very much.
Yeah. And love is that which cannot be destroyed. It can only be overlooked or forgotten or believed away.
It's
Mm-hmm.
always there. We've just put something on top of it. And when
Right.
you have that awareness of whatever that is removed, it just automatically gets removed. And we're back to the love, the peace that's always there. That is our foundation. That is the truth. We
Yes.
just pile garbage on top of it so that we can sort through it for whatever reason or no reason and
Yeah.
go
I
back to
think the
peace. But
mind wants war. I think the mind does want war. It wants to have conflict. It wants it's just part of what's happening, and all we need to do is recognize it for what it is.
Well,
yeah,
that inner battle could be the fact that it needs to disseminate the information coming in. That could be the war as to, is it true or is it untrue?
well, and we're having a human experience. The only way we can have all of this is through the body.
Right.
So if we don't have a body, then we're not experiencing any of this.
Right.
So in this body is where we experience things that are not love, which is why we're in a rush to come here and experience this, because
Mm-hmm.
then we can dissect stuff and our soul that's in love is going, you guys are Fruit Loops, there's nothing there. But really, we're having this experience where we have all these things that we have a feel because this is what a body does.
Right.
But there is no body.
There is no body, there is no table, there is no
It's
water, there's no mouse, there's no book. You're not sitting
Why
there
did I
thinking,
get up
I'm
at
not.
5:30? Tell me again.
yeah, it's a beautiful miracle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful miracle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
We're experiencing this, whatever this is, in our
I'm feeling
bodies.
very
And
happy. Yes, I'm feeling
this is
very
the only way
happy.
to do it.
Yeah. And the other thing is too, the battle is the density.
Yes.
And the resistance, if there is resistance,
Yeah.
is itself a battle in itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because what is resistance isn't anything either. Like it's not real either.
Right. Especially if you're resisting against something that isn't real.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a mirror within a mirror and within a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Even our bodies are not real.
I think that's the last belief to go in a way.
I was watching a show last night that said when you are so filled with light, um, which is really, I'm not going to say it's hard to do or not impossible, but when you are so filled with light, your body disintegrates.
You just evaporate.
One guy said that he saw he saw somebody do this, and I can't imagine, but all that was left was their teeth, their fingernails, and a little pile of dust.
Oh my goodness. Self-cremation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
I
can
just thought,
only barely experience that because the love, when I feel the love, is really powerful and beautiful, but I can't imagine that much love yet.
right. Yeah. The opposite of creation. You decreate yourself.
The illusion ceases. Your body
Yeah,
illusion ceases.
right. Almost like my work here is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to forget. There's no thoughts to analyze. There's nothing wrong with anything. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's just nothing left. There's just light.
Yeah.
I need
I
do
s-
nothing.
right? I need do nothing.
To be the love that I am, right?
Yeah.
There's no blocks if when we're fully recognize who we are. There's
Right.
in that, but in every present moment, it's not like in time. It's like right now,
Now.
now, and then now, and then now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a belief that if I say something, it's a blanket statement and it'll mean forever. But that's another belief that's not true.
Right.
An
I can
untruth.
only love you in this moment. I can't love you tomorrow. I can't promise to love you tomorrow. I can only love you right now. And there
Yeah.
is no, yeah, it's the beliefs are just, there are so many.
Beliefs are like the wind off the ocean. They just, it's when we grab one and go and dissect it and go, I have this belief. But,
Yes.
if we just let it go, then it goes back into the wind or wherever it goes. And,
We just see it
but we
as the
attach to it.
unreality that it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if we still believe that we're here in these bodies, it means that there's still beliefs that we haven't seen yet, that we
Yeah.
haven't recognized as unreal.
mm-hmm.
And or
They're still
meaningless.
running in the background like a program on a computer.
Right.
Yeah.
And life will show us, okay, today I'm going to show you this belief kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if we can recognize it as unreal, we've passed the test in a way.
Yeah. That makes sense. This
And
fun illusion that
if we
we're
don't
in.
pass the test, there'll be another opportunity.
Yes.
Well, and
Many
that goes
opportunities.
back onto a conveyor belt to come around to be experienced at another time when it's
Yeah.
time. Not that everything's in order. There's nothing in order. It just comes back until
Yeah.
you've under until you until you see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it might come back in a different format because
Yeah.
you didn't see it in its previous format. So, okay, we'll give you another shot. This is what it looks like. This is another opportunity for you to see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
To have your
And
awareness about
recognizing
what it
that
is.
brings me such joy to even recognize that. I'm like, holy, I didn't recognize it for all that time, and now I'm recognizing it. It's like such a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift
Yeah.
to be able to recognize something you didn't recognize before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it drops in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to sign out. You
Okay.
ladies can continue on because I'm going to help my husband pack for his trip this morning, and he just got
Okay.
up.
I'm going to stop the recording here.